I am talking about a whole new deal.
Do you feel that the important issues have been addressed?
Stay tuned for the twist. This is dramatic, thrilling. Let the party begin!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Trending in Hollywood. I, of course, am Scott Menzel, happily joined by Demetri Panos.
I, of course, am Demetri Panos.
And
Of course
we
I am.
are here a little bit late today. I apologize. I actually had to do an interview for some very special fans that will be coming out on Monday with Tom Ellis. So people can stay tuned to that right here on the HCA YouTube channel. That'll be coming out on Monday.
Well, bully for
Demetri,
you.
I'm okay.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm
doing?
good. How you doing? I'm good. I'm good. I'm not unwell.
So apparently, when I was doing this interview, you sent me this article that we're going to just have to kick off the show with, and that, of course, is Marvel suing to keep rights to Avengers characters from copyright termination. So you had a little bit more time to read through this. Demetri, fill the people in what this is all about.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's just another example of creators and writers kind of losing their rights. And again, I am no legalese, so I am only taking from the articles that I've read in today's major trades. Those trades being The Hollywood Reporter, Eric Gardner wrote the article, and then Variety as written by KJ Yosman. Okay, so I've got all this information. It just came through literally just a little bit earlier this morning. So Marvel sues to block heirs from reclaiming the Spider-Man Doctor Strange copyrights. So basically what it comes down to, Marvel has filed 5 lawsuits on Friday, today, to block comic book creators and their heirs from seizing control of copyrights to such major characters of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. If you read the Hollywood Reporter article, it goes even deeper into Ant-Man, Thor. It's basically the entire Avengers, save Black Panther. So the move comes after heirs of several Marvel authors filed dozens of termination notices with the U.S. Copyright Office seeking to end the Marvel licenses to the characters. So the way I see this, and if there's a lawyer out there who could enlighten us more, is that the copyrights for these characters are upcoming. The creators are people who've worked on these, want to try to grab the rights back. Why wouldn't they? But Disney is suing, forgive me, not Disney. Marvel is suing under the purview of that these people were work for hire, so that they didn't necessarily own anything. Now, the work for hire thing in the comic industry has been, well, it's been a thorn on many of a creator's side, and it's led to many getting screwed out of profit. There was the people who created Superman, for example, the big lawsuit there, and it's all throughout comic book history. So Marvel points to a case involving Jack Kirby, who created X-Men, Thor, and Iron Man. In that case, Kirby's heirs sought to reclaim copyright to his creation, but the federal courts sided with Marvel, finding that the characters were made under work-for-hire arrangements. So, but here we go again. These characters and the Avengers, as we know, Marvel has made a ton, not only from comic books, but they have supplemented this income with huge worldwide box office gross. Now, upon further reading, what I did note is that this is for domestic, United States only. So it doesn't adhere to international. But if I had to guess, and again, I have no legal, I have no legal authority or experience, but I am a good arguer. If I had to guess, this will more than likely be settled, out of court, and some monies will be given to these creators. What's interesting is that a lot of the names that I read of these people, like Ditko and such, they're always thanked at the end of, like Stan Lee and company, always thanked at the end credits of these movies. So, in part, Marvel has recognized that they're using storylines and actually even artist renditions where, like, if you're a Marvel fan of a certain character and if there's a certain pose, the hardcore fans can pick out, like, the artist who created the pose for that character. Okay, like, that's how deep some of that fandom can be, which is all well and good. So they're always thanked, and I'm wondered if they've ever been given some cash, some do-re-mi for the consulting or whatever. I don't know. Again, I am neither an agent or a lawyer. I'm just going by what I read this morning. But this is obviously huge news, because obviously Marvel is moving forward with more movies and more Disney Plus shows. So it'll be interesting and fun to find out what happens. Of course, Scott, I think you would agree with me. We don't want any creators getting screwed out of some monies.
No, they already. I mean, they already get screwed the worst. Right. I mean, it's been one of the things that we've heard so much about throughout the history of Hollywood, is how creators of stuff just kind of get the shit end of the stick. There's not a nicer way to put it.
Right.
Because it's basically like these characters wouldn't exist without them, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, you didn't do this, but right. It's like, but you wouldn't have these characters if it wasn't for us. So, where's the rub?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, when something like especially that first tier of Marvel movies made so much money, working itself right up to Avengers Age of Ultron, and then, Infinity War, Endgame. Those movies made like gajillions of dollars, spread a little bit of their wealth. Like I said, that's why I feel, look, Disney's in a rash, or Marvel. Well, Disney's in a rash of lawsuits. Marvel is owned by Disney. So I get that Marvel is doing this. But again, they're under a bigger umbrella too. And we also know, we're going to talk a little bit about it. I think it's a great segue. Disney is also right now in the throes of another major legal or another major lawsuit that's going on. So this doesn't exactly bode, like, this doesn't look good from an optics level. So, I believe something's gonna happen.
But here's the reality of this, right? Like, they're almost like this unstoppable force, both of these brands. Mm-hmm. I mean, no matter what happens, you still have the fans are still going to the parks. They're still going to these movies. I mean, right. Shang-Chi has been the #1 movie at the box office. Absolutely. Despite all the negative stuff that has come out about it, right?
Right.
I mean, we've had so many articles trying to take it down, I feel like, with the actors, whether it was Awkwafina or whatever. But yet it still remains superior. It's still the #1 movie at the box office, and that's probably not going to change this weekend either.
More than likely, no.
So, I mean, it's sort of funny because I feel like we always talk about Disney, we always talk about Marvel, but like they're kind of like the unstoppable force. Like they they can almost like shoot someone on the street and people will still be like, oh, but I love Captain America. I'm going to go see this movie.
Yeah. But now, I think this is a perfect segue
Yes.
into our next thing, because are they quite the unstoppable force? Because the other big news that came out, again, is a story we've talked about. And I even talked about, when you were like on your family vacation, in your family truckster. So the other big news that came out was Disney CEO Chapek talent deals undergo reset after Scarlett Johansson lawsuit. So this thing was a really big deal. If you recall, quick recap, Scarlett Johansson sues Disney for profit, saying she was screwed out of some monies because they went on to Disney Plus Premiere. Disney responded not very kindly, actually. They insulted her. They insulted her. They put out publicly what she made. They didn't quite do a great job of from a PR standpoint, I would say. So this built up, and I remember way back when going, where the hell are people? Like, why the hell are more people not standing up for Scarlett? And since then, more people have stood up for Scarlett, including Jamie Lee Curtis recently, right? So the way I look at this, there's a bit of reset going on right now, and ultimately we'll think about that as we do our future talent deals, Bob Chapek said in an investors conference, okay? To me, that's a sign that Scarlett is winning in this. I think she's played it very well. She came out, or her people came out shortly after Disney disparaged her and said, whoa. Let's slow down a little bit here. You're not playing quite nicely. We're going to go, we're not, you know what? We're going to go to the fullest. So again, I think her deal will end up being done, we won't know what she gets financially compensated for. No. We'll never know. But I think that this article, and this came out September 21st. Again, I'm reading from the Hollywood Reporter by J. Clara Chan. I think it's a positive thing for Scarlett Johansson's camp. So, are they the biggest force? Also, Chapek
they are, because essentially the thing is that you're going to want to. They always have been known for underpaying and always being one of the cheapest studios. So now, like, all we're saying is that they're going to restructure and they're going to, raise the rates a little bit and that stuff. But it still doesn't mean.
Oh, they didn't say they were going to raise rates.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think they said that they were going to necessarily raise rates. They're just going to restructure.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. They're going to have to do something, but at the end of the day, people know that they could become stars based on working in a Marvel project.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
It depends on, again, merchandise deals and all this other stuff that they're working with. So, like, you're talking about, like, reset. I wonder where that's going, because since so much stuff is moving into streaming, it doesn't mean a portion of that revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, not being a legalese, and I don't look at these contracts. I wouldn't necessarily know how to read. I barely know how to read now, but a contract, that's something different. Now, but also it should be noted, it was also reported too that Disney kind of did take a little bit of hit. Not surprising. Disney Plus streaming subscriptions have kind of plateaued. It's really not surprising, right? No. I think a lot of streaming subscriptions have plateaued, whether you be Netflix, Amazon, whatever. I just think a lot of it has. People are starting to get out a little more, right? And they were claiming like Disney park attendance may not be up where they had hoped or where it was, say, in 2019. But again, are you surprised? I'm personally not. Apparently, some of the Disney stock took a little bit of a hit. But the bottom line is that stock, even though it takes a hit, it's probably one of the most resilient stocks out there. So, yeah, okay, it goes down some. It's going to go back. It's going to go back up. Just on their product, theme parks, vacations, blah, blah, blah alone. So, they're just in a little bit of a tumultuous time right now, and I mean little bit. The last thing I'm concerned and worried about is Disney.
Well, speaking of Disney, I mean, they've been in the news so much this week. I mean, of course, we couldn't end our Disney segment without talking about Disney Plus Day, November 12th.
Ooh, Disney Plus Day! Ooh, what's Disney Plus Day?
Oh, so it's a celebration of Disney Plus, that they're going to be doing all these great things for everyone who's subscribed, right? So you're going to get Shang-Chi's going to be available for free on Disney Plus. You're going to get the Home Alone movie that you didn't want.
That no one asked for.
That no one wanted and no one asked for. You're going to get Jungle Cruise. It's almost like it's, we joked about this off camera, and I'm not trying, I really am not trying to shit on Disney right now, but like, God, like when you act like you're doing something special, give someone something special. Like the stuff that they have here, I feel like it's stuff that people probably already paid for if they had any interest in seeing, like Jungle Cruise and Shang-Chi. Right. Stuff like Home Alone, pretending like there's really this huge audience for this. Come on.
That seems to be the latest Disney. What is it? Apparatus Mundi.
Yeah.
Because like they did that when they reopened their gates to the park. They said, we're not raising our prices, but you're gonna get a whole hell of a lot less.
Yeah.
All the rides aren't going to be open. All the restaurants aren't going to be open. Blah blah blah. So we didn't raise our prices, but we're still giving you less than when the prices were what they were in 2019, and you're able to do and go the whole thing. That seems to be like they try to Svengali you, thinking that you're getting something great, when you measure it out, it's like, no, not necessarily. And full disclosure, yes, I got my magic key. I was an annual pass holder. I've been an annual pass holder pretty much since I've moved to Los Angeles. And the magic key, the major difference is now I have to make a reservation to go to the park. But that's about it. And I get the one with no blockout dates. But if I go to make a reservation and that particular date is full or booked, well, that's a blackout date. I mean, I'm blacked out. I can't go that day that I might want to go. So, yeah, they've been brilliant this past year in trying to make you think that you're getting a lot, but you're really not. And it doesn't include like a fast pass. They're revamping that. And there's a ton. That's what they seem to have been doing this year. This is all under the Chapek rule. It's like, ooh, Disney, you love us. You're going to get less, but you're going to pay more, and you're going to love it.
No, the biggest problem for me is from a content perspective is that a lot of the stuff that they have been releasing that is outside of, again, they have all the Marvel shows, but they're few and far between, right? You kind of get like one big event when they come out. Some of them obviously have more appeal than others do.
Sure.
Loki is definitely more popular than What If. Just like, I'm trying to think, Mandalorian is much more popular than Star Wars Rebels. But my biggest issue, and this has kind of been something that I've noticed all throughout the pandemic, is that they didn't really have a lot of content ready. So basically what they would do is they would release stuff that you would normally see as a special feature on a Blu-ray as like content and pretend like they're doing something so incredible, like Disney Olaf presents, like really, like here's an Alberto short from Luca. It's like, here's a special look at Star Wars. Like, it's like guys, this is like, basic footage stuff that you would see as on a Blu-ray that 95% of people never watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do watch.
I know
stuff.
you do, but I'm just saying the vast majority of people don't watch it.
And I understand that. For me, the Disney Plus streaming is, Marvel, Star Wars set aside. They've had some great documentaries about the parks, about the creation, about the Imagineering specifically. And for me, it's the catalog titles. For me, it's a lot of the catalog titles that I grew up and loved, and just literally they are there at my fingertips to watch whenever I want. Now, I have a lot of those because I'm a physical medium kind of guy, but it's interesting because there's some hard to find stuff that's there. There isn't a really good Blu-ray master of, like, say, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which you have on Disney Plus. So for me, it's more that the other stuff is just like it's bonus material for me, like the Star Wars stuff and everything. I've had those movies, but I do get your point. There are certain things that would be relegated to a special feature on a Blu-ray for content, and they do try to make it seem like it's amazing. So,
yeah, I mean,
I get it.
And then when you compare, the problem is with it is that if they were just doing that and there was nothing else to compare it to, that would be different. But we live in a time where everyone has a streaming service, and you can kind of like look at the differences. And you're looking at like a Netflix, and you're kind of like, they do this shit every day, like it's literally like every single day. And like they're trying to act like, oh, we're doing something big here.
No argument.
1 day a week, and it's kind of like, are you though? Like really? Like you're dropping a movie and like 2 of your other titles that have already been out and people have already seen in droves. Like what are you talking about? Like what are you really giving me? Like you're not giving me a brand new, Dwayne Johnson movie and a brand new Free Guy sequel or. Like it's just like, all right, hey, if you didn't see it by now, here you go. Here's your chance. Like, okay.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And of all the streaming services, again, for me, the Disney stuff is more of a nostalgia thing for me. Personally, I like HBO Max. I think that the way that they have their service, like, laid out is probably the most efficient, and I can go directly to DC or I can go directly to Turner Classic Movie Hub and things like that. And I like what they have to showcase on the HBO Max as well. So for me, Disney Plus is first and foremost nostalgia because of all those older movies. Yes, I watched The Mandalorian and the Star Wars stuff. I watch some of the Marvel stuff. But I watch a lot of. It's been mostly documentaries. It's been mostly documentaries about behind the scenes of the attractions and origins and stuff like that. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna jump over real quick. We got two Bond stories before we end for today. The first, of course, is No Time to Die. Finally coming out. Yeah. Demetri and I will be seeing it on Tuesday, and we will be back next week with a full review for you right on this show.
I can't wait.
But yeah, so the ticket sales for No Time to Die doing very well over in the UK.
Yes.
An article today basically said that some of the strongest ticket sales they've seen post-pandemic.
Yeah, and I sent that to you, and I said, wow, this is really big. And you might have been thinking, well, who cares? Why is it big? Because it's in the UK. Okay, so Bond is kind of baked into England. However, it has been, in my experience in reporting box office, that when you release a movie in the UK first, the UK, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, is a really good indicator as to how the movie is going to play here in the States. It really has historically, and this happened while I was at Lionsgate. So you release a movie in the UK, if it does really well, the odds are it's going to do pretty good in the States. If it doesn't do really well, then you have to start rethinking where you're going to be allocating money is to marketing and advertising, because 9 out of 10, it won't do so well here in the States too. So it's a great mirror. And it's really, Scott, I think it's a really great sign that, again, I get it. James Bond is a franchise, but if it can help push box office into the right direction, and it gets butts in seats, and people have been chomping at the bit for this since 2019. I mean, I've been waiting for this movie like forever. So I think it's a good positive. I think that I love the excitement level in this article. Ticket pre-sales are biggest since Avengers Endgame. And this is James Bond, right? So it helps build, at least it helps build this excitement. I can't wait to see it. I hope, fingers crossed, that it lives up to this excitement. But it's a good sign. It's a good indicator. I'm curious why, since this article has come out, why we haven't heard anything about the Bond sales, because they went on sale, I think, last week, I believe. You could purchase your tickets to see No Time to Die at a theater near you last week online and all that stuff. We haven't heard anything yet.
No, I feel like we haven't heard anything about it, and maybe that'll all change on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're timing, and this is a brilliant move on their part. They're timing the London premiere to, I think, a bunch of critic screenings around the country.
Yeah.
So basically, when the reactions come out from the premiere, they'll also come out in LA and New York and all that stuff. So very smart move on United Artists' part.
I agree.
I'm very curious to see how this is going to turn out. As we know, longest Bond movie, right? Of all time, this one's going to be. And that's going to be either a blessing or a curse, because I know people don't like when people say this, but like some majority of movies that I watch that are long, I feel like don't need to be that long. There's very few that I watch and I'm kind of like, this runtime is perfect when they're over like a 2 hour.
Yep, you and I both. However, being a Bond fan, there have been Bond movies that have. Her Majesty's Secret Service was a pretty long Bond movie, and again, I'm fine. It's all good. And that one didn't even have Sean Connery in it, or Roger Moore. The Roger Moore, The Spy Who Loved Me, is a long Bond movie as well. So they've had long Bond movies. Just not. What's this one? 2 hours and 45 minutes. Is that?
Yeah. It's going head to head with Dune. It wants to be the longest movie of the year.
Yeah, and Dune isn't even a complete picture, mind you. What the fuck? The more I think about that, the more it angers me. But we'll talk more Dune later. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I can't wait. You know that, so I can't wait for Tuesday. So yeah, it'll be good to have Bond back. It'll be comfortable for me as Marvel fans are comfortable watching Black Widow. This is my, this is kind of like a piece of my like this is Marvel for me. This, and if only we could get a good Star Trek movie out. I got my other hopes high up with Halloween Kills, and we'll talk about that later to release.
All right, sounds good. And then we also this week, I think it starts next week, in LA. If you live in the LA area, there is Bond in Motion at the Peterson Automotive Museum. And we don't want to spoil too much of this because we think it has to be seen to be believed. But Demetri, I will tell you, I walk through museums very, very swiftly. I kind of like go, Like I'm like the kind of person who just kind of walks through very quickly, takes a few pictures and leaves. Demetri literally was like, oh my God, look at this. Look at this car. This is from this. Here's the scene. Blah, 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 blah. So, like, if you're a hardcore fanatic, and I'm going to let Demetri take this away, but, like, you're a Bond person and you like him, love, like, every one of the Bond movies and have that box set and you watch these movies religiously, this exhibit is going to be like a wet dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can explain more as to how I was, but I was blown away. Like, growing up with Bond and all his gadgets and specifically his vehicles, like what you're showing right there, right out of Moonraker. That's the boat that, who's being chased, and it had landmines. They did have the Lotus Esprit. Go back a picture. Show that. That's the sub car. Yeah. There you go. Oh my God. I mean, from The Spy Who Loved Me, the sub car. And if you're like me and introduced theatrically to Bond, a car that turns into a sub and then back into a car and comes up on a beach. Yes. I was very excited. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the depth that they went. This is a visual vehicle history of James Bond. And yes, I had my favorites, including that Lotus Esprit. Again, the sub car, it was great. They also had the boat that at the time from Live and Let Die that made the longest boat jump in history at the time. That was great to see. I also loved, they had, Scott, remember? They had the DB, they had the DB Aston Martin from Casino Royale.
For Aston Martin, which I thought was great. Like, there was literally like a whole bunch of them all in one corner. And it was interesting because all the cars were donated to the exhibit from all over the world. So everyone had a different location. And I thought the exhibit, again, if you're not like a Bond fan, like if you haven't seen every single one of them, what I thought was really great for point of reference was they actually had a TV screen on the wall showing a clip of that car in that particular scene. So basically, even if you're someone who's just more of a casual fan, but you like museums, this kind of gave you some perspective. And I thought that was really great because I like a lot of Bond movies, but I have not seen all of them the way that Demetri has. So I was able to still enjoy it and appreciate it, and kind of like seeing the evolution, I think, was really kind of special to see how it changed throughout history. And one of the things we should talk about too, real quick, is the fact that they had this wall of posters, which I didn't upload the photo, but they had a wall of posters from every single James Bond movie. And Demetri and I probably had a 10 to 15 minute conversation looking at that wall about the evolution of movie posters and how lazy they have become since I think it was Tomorrow Never Dies. Is that the one we decided was the one where it started getting lazy? It was
getting iffy at around GoldenEye.
Yeah.
So right around that, and the thing of it is, what I really loved about our conversation, not that it was just about Bond, but it was about the poster industry as a whole.
Yeah.
I would love to get, we had Vance Kelly on a few weeks ago. I'd love his perspective on this stuff because his is all artwork. And when you look at those early Bond movies all the way up through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, going right up until the last Roger Moore, even Timothy Dalton ones, Living Daylights and such, there was an artistic beauty to them, and there was they captured the excitement of the movie. In one way, they were a little bit racy, but they always said, Bond is back, Bond is bigger. And then when you get to the Photoshop ones, there's no comparison. There really isn't, but I think it's the state of the industry. I don't think it's just Bond. And I love, our conversation really was about how posters themselves have changed, and this visual history that they showed you. I just thought, again, I took a picture of it as well. I thought it was great. And it really is an awesome exhibit. And if you are like Scott, right, where you may not have seen every Bond movie yeah, he brings up a great point. There's a monitor right behind the vehicle, and it shows you a scene that was key for that vehicle. It might inspire you to go and watch that Bond movie. Just to go, hey, I saw that car. And like they had that Aston Martin that did the rollover in Casino Royale, which at the time, the most consecutive rollovers, like a stunt, ever. And then we get the aftermath car, right, Scott? It was the wreck.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. And then, of course, there's the original Aston Martin, which is just gorgeous and beautiful. And when you look through either the passenger side or the driver's side, the shift has the flip up little door, and there's the red ejection seat button. I was just like, I was so giddy. It was so cool. And how many times did a lot of these cars did you go, wow, I wish I could drive that car. Like, how cool would it be just to drive it down the street and then come back? You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was great. I mean, here's another one. I uploaded a couple photos when I was doing this. So like that's one of them that was there. Let me show you the poster wall. They're not perfectly centered, so I apologize for that. But, you know, this was here's the poster wall that we were talking about. And this is kind of what we were seeing in terms of like all artwork for like the two bottom rows. And then you start getting up. And I would say that the Pierce Brosnan years kind of they were like a mixture. They were sort of like, we're kind of going artful here, but we're going to kind of be lazy with Photoshop. And then when you get to the last 5, it's just like someone randomly standing there with a background.
Yeah. That's right.
And then you're just sort of like, okay, great. I'm glad I have this poster on my wall.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Daniel Craig, basically. And, but yeah, if you're a fan of Bond or even a casual fan, maybe this will inspire you to watch some more. The cars that Bond drives, to me, are legacy and iconic, throughout the entire series. And that's another thing, too, about James Bond. I can't think of another franchise that's been around and has made so many movies. This one coming up, No Time to Die, 25th movie within the Bond series. It's over 50 years old. You have to give credit where credit is due. You know, there are a lot of people who I know don't like Bond movies, and that's fine. But to stick around for 25 movies and continue to be successful by swapping out your title character because actors get old. You know, and again, I am not, even though I'm a fan, I am not a homer. I can point out which movies I didn't like. They've not all been fantastic. There's many that are better than others, but still they've maintained a level of pop culture iconism that's been it's been earned, and it's deserved at this point in time. So can't wait for No Time to Die. Spy Who Loved Me and For Your Eyes Only, yes, they are great. Those two posters are great posters, Josh. They really are. For Your Eyes Only, not sure if you know, Scott and I had a great chuckle about it. It was actually kind of banned here in the States. They found it to be too cheeky. and they actually ended up cropping the poster for the newspaper ads and such. So, but they were just such great posters. And let's face it, they had great subjects. Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan. Not ugly guys to grace a one sheet. Let's be honest, you know. And they just put out their action, adventure, and some sexiness going on. So there you go.
All right. So for anyone who's in the area or is coming to the area over the next year, this exhibit will start on September 25th. I think it runs all the way through October. Tickets are $16. And once again, that is at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles.
Yeah, check it out.
On that note, Demetri, I think we're done for this week. Real quick before we end, anything on the agenda that you'll be watching?
Anything on the agenda that I'll be watching?
This weekend, yeah. Is there anything that came out that you might go see in a theater? Is there something you're going to catch up on streaming?
Well, I still want to see Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Yep.
So I may try to catch that this weekend. I can tell you that we talked about it yesterday. I watched Cry Macho. And let me say this. It's not a bad movie. It's okay. It really is reflective of aging. And the movie is best when it reflects that, because it's you have Clint Eastwood, who not only is he iconic, but is the epitome of macho. Through his cowboy years, Iger sanction, he's macho. And this is about an aging man who was considered macho at his time. He was like a bronco. He's an aging bronco billy. And he basically is tasked with getting his boss. He has to go to Mexico to pick up this person's son and bring him back to the States. And it's about that journey. It's not a great movie, but it is endearing. It has some heart, and it also has some sentiment. But I found it to be very reflective. I think that's why Clint Eastwood probably chose to do this movie. It'll sadly fall underneath the radar of many people. And again, the guy is 91 years old, Scott. If this ends up being the last movie he directs, so be it. We as an audience, you can't ask any more of this gentleman to give to the entertainment business. And in fact, I think it's time for them to give back and give him. He's gotten awards and honors, but for his career, he need be really recognized. And I think if Cry Macho ends up being his last movie, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. It's not great, but it certainly is. It's a fine note to go out on if it is his last movie. So Cry Macho, watch it on streaming. How about you, Scott? What are you going to try to watch this weekend?
I'm going to watch the Neon film The Worst Person in the World, which has been at a lot of festivals and is getting so much praise. And it's a dark romantic comedy that I don't really know much about, but I'm going to watch it.
Is it on streaming or?
The Worst Person in the World? It's not on streaming. No, it's coming to theaters from Neon, and I believe it's coming out. Jeez, what is the date on this? It doesn't have a date yet, it looks like.
Look at you, how special you are. The worst person in the world.
There I go. So I'll let you know how what I think about that next week. And other than that, we got Bond this week and coming up, and I don't know what else we have coming up this week. I think that's all we had. We're going to talk about the Sopranos movie next week, right, Sue?
Yeah, we'll talk Sopranos movie. I might start watching Midnight Mass.
Oh, yeah.
I might try to start watching that. I've heard mixed reviews on that. I like Michael Flanagan, so I'll give that a shot. But I think if I go to the movies, it'll be Eyes of Tammy Faye. You said it's worth seeing.
I think so.
Yeah, I'll try to check that out because it looks like a contender, and I want to try to stay on top of those.
Very important, and especially since there's so many late editions this year. And I know again, you didn't get to go to a festival this year, and when you don't go to a festival, you kind of already feel behind because there's so much stuff that people talk about. And I mean, I even feel behind because I didn't go to TIFF, and to be perfectly honest, a lot of the stuff that I was going to see at TIFF wasn't available on the streaming platform this year, so I didn't get to watch a lot of the stuff that was part of the conversation. So
that makes zero sense, man. That makes zero sense.
No sense.
But okay.
All right. Well, have a good weekend, Demetri.
Yeah, you too, man.
Back next
you
week
well.
Here. Friday we'll be back at 11 o'clock next week.
Thank
you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.